Got my notes, check. Pepsi, check. Sunglasses, check. Hat, check. Thick skin, check. And sources, check. Let's go. Welcome to Golden Blued, everybody. This is where we cover all of college football. So if you're a college football fan, go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button. I call my Patreons the shot callers, and I can't wait to live stream some games and watch it with my Patreons and the score prediction contest. That's going to be fun. Thanks to you guys, Golden Blued has reached 9,000 subscribers. In fact, we've blown past it. So much so that we've reset our goal from getting to 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year to getting to 10,000 subscribers by the kickoff of the Backyard Brawl. Last check, we're over 100 subscribers, meaning we had 100 sub day yesterday. If we keep that up, we will most definitely hit that goal, but we can't do it without you. A couple months ago, we did a We Are Golden Blued video, and it was a massive success. A lot of people sent in their video entries, so I decided to celebrate us reaching 10,000 subscribers. I want to do it again. Yes, we're going to do another We Are Golden Blued or I Am Golden Blued. All you have to do is make a 5-second clip of you or your family or your friends saying I am Golden Blued or we are Golden Blued. Send it to the email address in the description of this video and you'll be in the next video. The Pac-12 has taken front and center of conference realignment, and not in a good way. And it all started with USC and UCLA announcing that they're heading to the Big Ten. Since then, there's been a lot of rumors as far as other Pac-12 teams possibly leaving the Pac-12. Fox announced that they weren't even bidding on the new TV deal for the Pac-12, and it's all ESPN. Well, the numbers came out, and it's not looking good at all. The new deal is worth $245 million, and it's not proposed to be split equally. Here's the proposed split for that $245 million deal. It looks like Oregon and Washington are asking for a 16.5% split each, meaning they would get $40.4 million. That's actually better than what they were getting from the Pac-12. Then there's Stanford and Cal who want 13.5% split each, meaning they would get $33 million each. That's about where the last deal was. And then the remaining teams, Arizona, Arizona State, Colorado, Utah, Oregon State, and Washington State would get a 6.6% split each, meaning they would get $16.1 million each. That's not good at all. Those 6 institutions are probably furious that this was even proposed, because Oregon and Washington are the biggest brands, and they're holding the Pac-12 hostage right now. They want the biggest cut, and they want it to be much bigger than the other brands. And it looks like Cal and Stanford are also stepping in saying, hey, we're not asking as much as Oregon and Washington, but we're the next biggest brand, so we need the next biggest cut. So it's not looking good for the Pac-12. The biggest brands are holding the Pac-12 hostage. This brings me to the Big 12. It's been rumored several teams from the Pac-12 have reached out to the Big 12 and are interested in joining the Big 12. The 2 hottest names right now is Colorado and Arizona. From my understanding, they have applied to the Big 12, and the Big 12 is expected to accept them. Oregon and Washington, still an unknown. I guarantee you, if they apply to the Big 12, they would get accepted. And I've done videos on where Utah and Arizona State could be in trouble, especially since I heard yesterday that the Big 12 is interested in Stanford and Cal, and that Stanford and Cal is interested in the Big 12. And that would help the Big 12 massively. I know Cal's not that big of a brand, but Stanford is a massive brand, and that's a footprint in the state of California. But there's some other positives to getting the other teams. It's called controlling the TV market of a state. So I wanted to go through the Big 12 and go through the scenarios of the teams they could accept from the Pac-12 and end up controlling an entire state by doing so. The current members of the Big 12 are Baylor, BYU, Cincinnati, Houston, Iowa State, Kansas State, Oklahoma State, TCU, Texas Tech, UCF, and West Virginia. That's not counting Oklahoma and Texas exiting, and it is counting BYU, Cincinnati, Houston, and UCF incoming. So this is the new Big 12, right? So what teams could they bring in to where it would lead the Big 12 to controlling an entire state? Well, the first team is Utah. The Big 12 already has BYU. You bring in Utah, number 1, you have the Holy War under contract. That's going to bring in some money. Number 2, you now control the entire TV market of the entire state of Utah. So I think grabbing Utah would actually be a very big positive for the Big 12. Controlling an entire state, and that's a decent TV market right there. The next team you look at is Colorado, and I'm talking about Power 5 markets. I know there's some group of 5 teams in some of these states, but I'm talking about Power 5 TV markets. So this brings us to Colorado. So there's only one Power 5 team in the state of Colorado. So if you grab Colorado, you own the TV market of Colorado when it comes to college football. Now, right now, they're not very interested in Colorado because Colorado's not very good. But when the Buffaloes are good, the state of Colorado is interested in the Buffaloes. So you would be investing in the future. They already control the state of West Virginia because they have West Virginia. Marshall doesn't count. They're a group of 5. And Marshall really only brings in 2 counties. That's Putnam County and Cabell County. Pretty much all the other counties is West Virginia. So the Big 12 already controls the state of West Virginia. They already control the state of Kansas with Kansas and Kansas State. From the Pac-12, if you bring in Arizona and Arizona State, that gives you control of the state of Arizona, including the TV market of Phoenix. And from what I'm being told, Arizona State actually has the bigger draw over Arizona. So I'm not sure why Arizona is higher on the list over Arizona State as far as the order they would bring in the Arizona schools. In fact, I would just say bring them together and boom, you control the entire state when it comes to college football TV media markets. Then there's Oregon and Oregon State. You bring in both the Beavers and the Ducks. There you go. You have the entire TV market of the state of Oregon. Same goes for Washington and Washington State. You bring in both of those, you now have the entire TV market for the state of Washington. And that includes the TV market of Seattle. That's a big TV market. That's why Washington and Oregon are high on the priority because they have major TV markets up there in the upper Pacific West Coast. You also have Stanford and Cal on this list. Now, that doesn't give you control of the entire state as far as TV market goes, but it does give you a footprint in the state of California. So if the Big 12 were to bring in Utah, Oregon, Oregon State, Washington, Washington State, Colorado, Arizona, Arizona State, they would own the entire TV market of 7 different states. You'd have the state of Utah, the state of Kansas, the state of West Virginia, the state of Oregon, the state of Washington, the state of Colorado, and the state of Arizona. Now, not all those are massive TV media markets, but it gives you something and it raises the value of your TV deal. See, the end goal in all this, in conference realignment, is to raise your value so that you can get a better TV deal. This is why the Pac-12 just got a garbage offer from ESPN. $245 million that you got to split between 10 teams evenly. That in and of itself is bad. But you look at how they're wanting to split it as far as 16.5% going to Oregon and Washington, 13.5% going to Stanford and Cal, and then 6.6% going to the remaining 6 teams. That's not a good split at all. That's going to create some friction between the remaining Pac-12 teams. So instead of figuring things out, they're just creating more animosity between the brands and the Pac-12. The Pac-12 is not going to last very much longer. There's animosity going on right now because the bigger brands want a much bigger cut of the TV revenue than the lower brands. Hey, if you want this gig to stay together, we're the biggest brand, so we want a much bigger cut. That's just how it's got to be. I'm not sure if I agree with that tactic. I understand why they're saying that because they are the biggest brands, but that does not help keep the Pac-12 together. Those lower brands are interested in the Big 12, and the Big 12 is interested in those lower brands. But hey, maybe part of this is they want those lower brands to go away. That way they can get a bigger cut of the TV deal. I don't know the psychology behind this cut, but that could be one of the ways they're trying to get a bigger cut as far as Oregon and Washington goes. Hey, those lower brands can go, and then we can just get a bigger chunk. We know the Pac-12 is not going to last anyways, so why not get the most we can get while we're here? That actually makes sense when you think about it. So if the Big 12 were to go to 20 teams based on grabbing teams out of the Pac-12, the only teams that I would not include would be Cal and Colorado. That's actually not a bad looking conference. But then again, your East teams are totally screwed because you haven't added any teams on the East side of the Big 12. That's the only thing that I don't like about the Big 12 adding teams from the Pac-12. That puts West Virginia, Cincinnati, and UCF out on an island. It needs to be evened out. Go after some teams out of the ACC. I know grant of rights is a big hump you have to get over. But hey, if the lawyers figure it out, because ESPN wants to bump some brands from the ACC to the SEC, they would have to work that out. And boom, you would have a window, you'd have an opportunity. Seize the opportunity and try to get some teams out of the ACC. I know Miami right now, they're wanting to come to the Big 12. They're mad at the ACC, they're mad at the SEC, and they're not too fond of the Big 10 right now. And I'm hearing that Miami would jump at the opportunity of joining the Big 12 if the grant of rights got figured out and they could find a way out. So Miami would be option number 1 for the Big 12 as far as if the grant of rights opened up and they could grab some teams out of the ACC. And that gives a traveling partner for UCF. Y'all let me know in the comments section, number 1, how much longer do you think the Pac-12 is going to last, especially with this new split being proposed? And the second thing I wanted to ask, Where do you think Oregon and Washington ultimately end up? That's all I got for you for this show. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you on my next show.